Welcome to Psyverge. There comes a point in life when pain no longer surprises you. Betrayal, abandonment, manipulation, they no longer shock you the way they once did. But the ache still lingers, that deep invisible bruise that refuses to fade. What if I told you that it's possible to reach a state where nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again? Not because the world becomes kinder, but because you become radically different. Stronger, integrated, whole. Carl Jung believed that every wound we carry, especially the ones that go ignored, becomes a secret architect of our future. That is, until we bring it into the light. As a clinical psychologist, I've seen this pattern repeat endlessly. People don't suffer because they're weak. They suffer because the most important parts of them have been disowned, repressed, exiled to the unconscious. And as Jung wrote, what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. So let us explore the dark, unspoken territory of Jungian transformation. Because the idea that nothing and nobody can hurt you again isn't a fantasy, it's a psychological reality, if you're willing to confront the truth of who you are. When we talk about hurt, emotional pain, psychological trauma, we're often discussing more than just external events. We're talking about how the self responds. Two people can experience the same rejection. One spirals into self-loathing. The other barely flinches. Why? The difference lies in psychic integration. Jung proposed that every human being is born with a self, a central, organizing archetype of wholeness. Around it are the many fragmented parts of our psyche, the persona, the mask we wear in public, the shadow, the repressed aspects of the self, the anima/animus, our inner opposite, and the ego, our conscious identity. When these parts are disjointed, when we live only through the persona, disconnected from the shadow or unconscious, we become fragile, vulnerable to every insult, betrayal, or rejection. Our sense of self is too shallow, too easily shattered. That is why the unexamined psyche is always at risk. Now imagine this. You are no longer just a persona, trying to be liked, validated, accepted. You are no longer just an ego, obsessed with control. You are someone who has sat with the shadow. You've faced the ugliest truths about yourself, your capacity for jealousy, cruelty, weakness. You've befriended the parts that society told you to reject. The result? Your center of gravity shifts inward. This is not emotional numbness. This is psychological sovereignty. Jung called this process individuation, and it is the antidote to suffering, the process by which the unconscious becomes conscious, and the self becomes whole. It's not comfortable. It is often excruciating. But it is the only path toward becoming someone who cannot be destroyed by external chaos. Let me give you a concrete example. Consider a man who was emotionally neglected as a child. As an adult, he becomes highly sensitive to rejection. A colleague's brief silence feels like condemnation. A friend's forgetfulness sparks rage. He assumes the world is hostile, but in truth, he is still reacting to an old psychic wound. The child within him never stopped scanning for abandonment. Until he meets the shadow. Until he realizes, I was never truly seen. I learned to perform to be loved. I abandoned myself first. That realization hurts, but it also liberates. Because now, instead of needing everyone's approval, he starts building a secure relationship with himself. He learns to tolerate the discomfort of being misunderstood. He becomes less reactive, more grounded, and in time, those same situations that once triggered his panic barely register. Nobody ever had to change for his healing to begin. Only he did. This is the root of Jungian healing. You stop outsourcing your power. You stop waiting for the world to give you what it never could. You reparent the wounded child. You integrate the angry teenager. You stop seeing pain as a sign of weakness and begin seeing it as the starting point of depth. People often ask, but what about the narcissist who abused me? The family who gaslit me? Shouldn't I hold on to that hurt? Jung's answer would be, you must acknowledge it. You must grieve it. But then, you must transcend it. Otherwise, your abuser continues to live inside you. Not physically, but psychologically. Through your patterns, your reactions, your beliefs about love and safety. Nothing and nobody can hurt you again once you stop making your identity out of your trauma. Understand this. Your pain is real, but it is not final. It is a chapter, not the book. When you integrate your trauma, when you metabolize your grief, you become something extraordinary. A person who holds the complexity of life without collapsing. A person who can love without needing to control. Who can set boundaries without guilt. Who can walk away from toxicity without longing. Because you no longer look outside yourself for completion. Jung warned us, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. But once you do face your soul, once you walk through that fire, you're never the same. Let's talk about emotional immunity. In physical medicine, immunity doesn't mean you never encounter pathogens. It means your body knows how to respond. In psychology, emotional immunity works the same way. Life doesn't stop testing you, but your response changes. You stop collapsing into victimhood. You stop personalizing other people's chaos. You see manipulation clearly and detach. You hear criticism and discern whether it's truth or projection. You experience loneliness and realize it's not a punishment, but a portal to intimacy with self. This is not detachment. This is maturity. Carl Jung didn't promise peace. He promised meaning. And meaning, unlike comfort, can withstand anything. The storms come. The betrayals happen. But you remain grounded, not in denial, but in depth. Because you are rooted in something far stronger than external validation. You are rooted in the self. You may still feel pain, but you won't be wounded in the same way. Because the arrow that once pierced you now strikes armor made of consciousness. You are no longer that vulnerable child waiting to be chosen. You are the adult who has chosen yourself. So when we say nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again, what we really mean is this. You will never again abandon yourself for the sake of belonging. You will never again betray your truth for the illusion of peace. You will never again confuse pain with purpose. Because now you see clearly. Now you have become whole. Now you have done the work Jung described not as healing, but as becoming. Becoming the kind of person who doesn't run from the dark, but transforms it. And that, in the end, is why nothing and nobody can hurt you anymore. Not because the world changed, but because you did.